This is Theatre in the Apocalypse, episode 10. Sunil Shanker is an actor. He's also a theatre and filmmaker based in Karachi, Pakistan. He graduated from the National Academy of Performing Arts, better known as NAPA, in 2009. And he has worked with and learned from some of the greats in Pakistani theatre like Zia Moyuddin, Talat Hussain, and Rahat Kazmi. Sunil is known for his use of movement in theatre, and he has performed and directed in productions such as Equus, Court Martial, Mantarama, Conversations, Kasurwar, Metaphysical Karachi, and Chup. Sunil won Best Director at the 2013 Express Tribune Awards, and in 2015 he formed his own theatre company, which is called Sina Productions. Also in 2015, he collaborated with Nida Butt, co-directing Ayub Khan Din's blockbuster musical, East is East, as part of the I Am Karachi campaign. Sunil has also worked extensively with the Liari community for the project Liari Stars, I beg your pardon, Stars, training young people who have limited access to expressing themselves through the arts. Sunil's debut feature film, Ram, which is an adaptation of Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, was released in 2016 and was directed by UK-based Ahmad Alauddin Jamil. And he also recently worked as acting coach for M&D Productions movie Superstar, directed by Mohammad Ehsamuddin. Now, Sunil has been described variously as many things, which I'm going to tell you as we go along with this interview. But I just want to end this little introduction with a quote from journalist Rafai Mahmood, and he's writing in the Tribune newspaper in 2018, and he describes Sunil as a man with a mission. And he says, and I'm quoting him here, by constructively diverging from directorial cliches, he has played an imperative role in rekindling contemporary theatre in the country. And that is Sunil Shanker.
Well, thank you.
How have you been?
I'm good, Tracy. How are you? Thanks for having me. It's been a long time since I haven't seen you. How are you?
Yeah. Okay. Getting by, kind of trying to figure out what the new normal is and how we are going to function within that.
Yes.
How was your lockdown experience?
Yeah, it's been like quite ups and downs here, and generally, because there was an Eid day, and they opened the lockdown, and then suddenly the cases gone up, and then they had to put the city again into the lockdown. So, but now the scene is actually the cases are going down as the news suggests, and it's pretty normal. But currently in Pakistan and in Karachi, the smart lockdown is going on at the moment.
You're a teacher now at Napa,
Yes.
and like most colleges, you've had to make this transition into teaching online, and you're teaching acting online. How's that going?
Yes.
What's that like?
It's honestly it's a bit frustrating at the moment because I love to be one-on-one contact, physical contact with my actor. It is more important for me to see the actor, what is happening and what he's going through. But with this medium, with this box, it is difficult to see that what is happening with the actor, or that is one problem. And since in Karachi there is a lot of load shedding, electric load shedding is happening these days because the temperature has gone up. So every time the connection is not that good, and there are a lot of lagging, and I have to repeat it again and again, and I can't actually see. So this is also a bit frustrating, but on the positive side, I'm loving this idea of sitting here in my house and teaching acting to the people. So in a way, in this box, I'm also in this box, and they are also in that box. So and making that box for them is part of a rehearsal room. And then I'm trying different ways of teaching acting through this medium through online, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Tell me sort of what changes you have made or things you have discovered, because I mean, the idea of teaching acting online, to me also, I've been kind of wondering how to do it. And I guess now that you're kind of quite a way through the process, you must have come up with little adaptations or, different techniques
So
through which to reach your students.
So what is happening? It is very difficult for me to do a group exercises because everyone is like isolated. So I can't do group exercises, and I can't tell people to see what is happening with the actor. I mean, they are also seeing. They are also like join like in the class. Somebody is using the mobile, somebody is with the laptop, and some has no light, kind of stuff. So normally what I'm doing is most of the monologues and individual basis thing and individual exercises. See, today I did Natya Shastra thing. Remember we did last time, and then
Yeah,
how we and it was interesting. I said, why not? Let's try this. So I asked them to bring all 9 pages and put the pages down, and in their
yeah,
room they put the box, and then what is happening? I asked them to mute all the screens, and so that they can hear me and my instruction. And how for them it is also interesting for them. They are there in that room, and then they are trying different emotions of the Natya Shastra, and then we discuss that. So it is also interesting that these people, when they are in this room and experiencing these emotions, like the interesting things they tell, and it becomes for them is very real, because now, in a way, when you're in a rehearsal room, there is kind of a safe space. Like, okay,
yeah,
this actor is performing or doing the exercise, I'm like in the corner sitting. But when you're all alone in the room and there is nothing, and you're only performing, and you've been watched, and you have to do. There is nothing. There is no choice. So this is also interesting, and they have to do, and it becomes very real for them. And they also think that we are in a confined space and we can do anything what we want.
yeah,
So this is also good for me that they are kind of coming out of their shells and not very hesitant to do stuff. And yes, a bit challenging, tiring, because there is so much lagging in the internet quality and the lights and everything. And normally what I do, I normally go and talk to the actor, like whisper in his ear and try to boost him or her to do something, so I can see what is happening with the thing. And normally there is a therapy session is also happening. What are the experiences? I can talk, so the talking element is not there,
yeah,
but some other element is also there, like when you're being isolated in isolation and you're performing. The element of performing is mostly there, which is
yeah,
also interesting. Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, the Natya Shastra is such a fabulous exercise
it's a
anyway.
fabulous exercise. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't, yeah, I can't see anyone kind of not engaging with that, because there's, out of those 9 emotions, there's
yeah, yeah,
one that you're bound to connect with when you're in this little room.
yeah.
Yeah. So your days are
But
busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
days are busy. Certainly, it become very busy, and hopefully, we're thinking in September, possibly we'll open the academy if they
Open
will
school.
open the
Yeah.
colleges. Yeah, the schools. Yeah, it depends upon the schools and colleges.
So, I mean, are you moving towards opening theaters and bars and restaurants and things like that? What's happening in Karachi?
Generally, in Karachi, the restaurants are closed. You can,
Okay.
like, there's no public gatherings, but people are going out for walking and for exercise, and people are doing the business as normal. But there is a restricted time, like Saturday and Sunday is strictly off. There is normally only the necessary grocery stores and medical stores are open, but the restaurants and all the entertainment, everything is closed. But the business is obviously the shopping malls are open, but the kids can't go inside. and well, yeah, these are the restrictions. I mean, no
Yeah.
restaurants you can just go and take away. You can't eat outside. That's the problem. You can't go and watch cinema. They are closed. Everything is closed. Theater and everything is closed. You can't go.
Yeah.
Academies are closed. You can't.
And I'm just wondering, at a time like this, now your first degree was actually in commerce, and then you
Yeah,
have an MBA in
yeah, yeah,
management, and you
yeah.
actually had a full-blown career before you suddenly decided, is this making me happy? No. And then you just chucked it all up,
Yeah.
and pursued a career in theatre. So now, are there any feelings in you? Like, would you ever go back to that life? I mean, are you seeing opportunities where those skills can be brought into sort of work better for you now?
I, 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 I I never regret this decision. In fact, I'm very happy at the moment in my life. I think I took the very right decision in my life, and I'm very happy. I'm more than happy anyone can think of, and I think that was a very good choice I've done to leave that monotony of life and not just monotony. I always feel there was no honesty in banking. I don't know why. There was so monotonous life. So I hated that. I'm generally good. You know, there are times when you start exploring yourself. You start
Hmm.
exploring yourself. What am I doing? What is my purpose? Am I right for this job? That was that phase. I'm saying, I mean, and it actually came to me, and it was so boring for me. When it was inbuilt, I was bored. I worked for 9 years in the bank. I said, I'm for this. And then suddenly this thing happened, and then I saw this beautiful building, and I just asked my friend to what is this building and what is happening inside there. There's a theater and they teach acting. Well, who teach acting? Acting you can just in acting you can who teach acting? And then I heard Zia Saab's name and then Talat Saab's and then they then I said okay they're big figures, they're big names and the subcontinent continent. Then I took the admission and then yeah then everything like history.
I mean, luckily for Karachi Theatre, because when I read
Yeah.
reviews of your plays, it's like a standard thing that everyone says. You have really uh, broken barriers, you have crossed barriers,
Yeah.
you've really, um, from what I understand, really sort of helped rejuvenate contemporary theatre. That's an amazing
Yes.
thing. Now, in an interview that you gave a couple of years ago, you've said, I think it's in my blood to aggressively pursue whatever people discourage me from. So now, has that ever gotten you into trouble in terms of your
Yes.
production? Because I remember even when we met and we talked about how, sort of generally how conservative theatre is, especially in Karachi.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
some
It
stories.
is. Yeah, I've been under surveillance. I've been under surveillance, but before that, I've been warned or cautioned by my fellow theater practitioners that what can because especially for me, I'm not a religious person, so I challenge those things which pokes me to explore. So in country like Pakistan, I will not call it a conservative thing. It is more of a very pure religious thing. But somehow I challenge the norms of life and philosophies of life, and that sometimes doesn't resonate with other people. That is the thing. So, and this is in me that if you stop me, the opposite will happen. So that is still in me. I don't know why. I'm maybe just because of the life I had in my banking career, because I was struggling for everything, and and because I was jobless for many years. I mean, and I was like, if you go back, I was very, very introvert and scared and timid kind of a person. Yes, so that was the thing. So I just through times I just trained myself to be a fighter. So maybe there is inside me there maybe there is a coward boy, a very scared boy inside. So that's why I come out so aggressively so that you should not hurt that coward or innocent or weak boy inside. So that is also one thing. I hate defeat. I don't like to be defeated. So because I've seen a lot of defeats, I don't want to go in that zone. So maybe I'm like, as you can see, I'm a little uh, emotional or enthusiastic about about this thing. So that's my general, that's my personality, especially when I'm working. So that's why that
Yeah.
reflects in my work. Yeah.
No,
So
I have to say I absolutely loved working with you. I think from the
thanks.
moment
Yeah,
we
thanks.
met, we kind of bonded, and just
Yes. Thanks
watching you
for,
create.
yeah, thanks for coming to Karachi and helping us. And it was such a, I mean, such unfortunate that we couldn't perform. But hopefully, I touch wood definitely will do it in near future. Definitely.
Yeah,
But I would love to
yeah.
perform and yeah, do some work together.
We just have to practice some patience. Um,
Yes. Yes.
all right. So let's go back to your work and just carrying
Mhm.
on from what you were saying about growing up in Karachi. Um,
Mhm.
I want to talk about a piece of yours called Conversations.
Yeah.
Um, and you call it a love letter to Karachi. And you said, "This is my city. I've lived here all my life. I love my city and I feel connected to the soul of Karachi."
Yeah.
And Conversations is a non-verbal piece that you made in collaboration with Joshinder Chagar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I just want you to talk a little bit about it because there's one thing that really stood out for me in one of the press articles about it, and you have said usually when we hear the words freedom and patriotism, we see a lot of exaggeration of elements. But what we are trying to show through this production is the simple reality and the magic in everyday things that surround us. So just talk to me a little bit about the show in that context.
Yeah. Actually, as you heard about the physical theater, we want to do something physical theater, and to be very honest and real about it. So it was, and we didn't want it to adapt or because normally in Karachi there are a lot of plays people adapt, and we lack basically original plays. So we wanted to create something new and something which resonates with not just only with Pakistan, which should resonate with everywhere in the world, because and then the body language is we felt is the best tool to use. So that is the thing. So and with that play, the bonding between with me and the Karachi thing is basically I love the city. I love the city a lot. And then embodying the city was also a big thing. So I wanted to have this experience that what if I am Karachi? And that is also one aspect was I was actually performing. And the other aspect was that there's a girl who came to Karachi from other country, from Melbourne, from Australia, and she felt in love with the city, with the resilient people of the city, and then how this what you call the combination works. How so? We wanted to just explore this idea of the girl loving the city and the city itself love the girl, and then that was the idea we explored, and we just did that thing on stage,
Yeah,
and everything was visual in that, the music, and the texture of the music is also very local. Local means like traditional stuff, and it is, and also I helped the composer to compose the music. It's a very good friend of mine, SN Bari. Uh, so not to have any relevance from anywhere, like it should not be show any jazz kind of element or anything. I wanted kind of a sound which this country makes, or I hear this kind of a sound from this country, from this city. So I wanted that kind of a sound. It is more fractured. It is more soothing. It is more flowy, like because the sea rhythmic sound, like stuff. So that was one of a experience which I cannot forget throughout my life. It was such an amazing experience with this partner, Josh, and it was such a treat to work with her. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you've said that you love to experiment and that you love to explore, and you're known for your physical work. But I want to know just what did you do with Court Martial? Because that play has rave reviews. But the reviewer is actually praising your work and your interpretation more than the script. And there's one reviewer, and this is the journalist and the author of A Case of Exploding Mangoes, Muhammad Hanif. And he says, Sunil Shanker's production of Court Martial is the sexiest thing you are likely to see on the stage. Go. Right? So everyone kind of generally loving what you did, but in general saying that the script, one reviewer going so far as to say that the writing was mediocre at best. So what did you do with this play?
Uh, yeah, but yes, actually, the kind of so Desh Deepak is an Indian playwright, and he's very good and well known playwright. But the way he has written the script was more of a it was kind of a Bollywood style. Like there were many pauses, and the hero is always speaking. So hero is always speaking, and the element of conflict was not there. I mean,
Okay.
there was an element of conflict, but hero is a inverted comma hero always. There's no. So I because I was, I said no. There should be some conflict. There should be some friction so that the interest, and then there's a what do you call it? It should be unpredictable. It should be like people should expect, oh, what is happening? Somebody stopped this guy. So what I did, I first, people would expect court martial is a normal courtroom drama, and then you see a realistic set. I just started everything, and I just did the very abstract set, very abstract, very high altitude set, and then very abstraction, so that all the focus is on the actors, not on the set, not on the thing. So what I did,
Right.
I edited with my team. I edited a lot in terms of a dramatic element. In terms of, I didn't change the play. The play itself is there. What I did was try to create some electrical sparks in the play to keep the friction intact, keep the conflict intact, to make it
Okay.
unpredictable. And then since I have this movement thing, I always put it. I never change the play. I never do that. But I from since the big like I use some. I love to be cinematic on theater. So some army guys, a performance and physical performance are happening, and this and that kind of a stuff. So that was the thing I did. I just added a little bits in here and there to bring the friction in the play, to keep the friction, to bring the more friction in the play. That was
Right.
I did. That was the only thing. But my team said, oh, why are we doing this play? Why are we doing this Indian play? It doesn't resonate. So what I did, I changed the names. I just kept the names, but I changed the major relevant names of the army, and then this. I didn't call it Indian army. I didn't call it Pakistan army. It was a generic army.
Okay.
That's what. So basically, I think where the play went good was because of the performance, the content, and how I took out the content, because I love to make characters. I love to make characters. I create characters, and I don't play plain. There are a lot of characters. I try to be physical exercises and try to make different characters. Different characters. There were like 8, 10 characters on stage, and when the character like physically, it was like different exercises. But we created character, and then when the character speaks, it's something unique. It's something very interesting. So that's what we did, and in fact, I always do it, all my plays to create characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in something you said a little earlier on, in that the local audiences were like, "Why are you bringing this Indian plays here?" Why was that a problem?
It doesn't resonate with the people. I mean, like the play was about the Indian army,
Okay.
and it was also about the caste system, the
Right.
lowest caste, because there is a thing in India, the caste system, and
Yeah, yeah.
in Pakistan, yeah, there is no
In Sri
caste
Lanka
system.
also.
In Sri Lanka, you know that. So yeah, so in Pakistan there is a class system, not caste system. So
Okay.
it doesn't resonate with why are we doing this caste system? Well, why not? If it's a good play, we should do that. We should explore this side of the thing. And then actually it also went well because it was kind of an arch rivalry between India and Pakistan. And then obviously
Yeah.
the names are the Indian, so everyone gets it that the play is about India, and then they actually laugh,
Yeah.
oh, this thing happens in Indian army, that kind of a stuff, which normally, yeah. And so that's why people might have liked it about it. Maybe just,
All right.
yeah.
And people also got a little upset by the amount of swearing that there was in Kasurwar. So yeah, so that was an adaptation of 12 Angry Men. Um, and again, in a review, I saw people were saying, what is this language, all this swearing and things like that.
I don't know
So
why people get offended when they see the reality. I don't know why they in their real life
yeah,
they swear a lot. When they see on the screen or on stage, yes, I can understand why people react to that, because we have a social responsibility as an artist, as a public figure, to not to do that, so that not to set this example. But sometimes I also believe to show the reality, to teach,
yeah,
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 not to
yeah.
swear. But that's that the character is actually swearing, and we can't help it when there's a character who's from the road, who's from the very road, and you can't expect him to speak Shakespearean language. He will be.
Yeah,
I
of
want
course.
to. I can't. I have to show the character with its complete honesty. It should look believable.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would just keep talking about that a little more, because I mean, you did the translation of 12 Angry Men, and you've also
Yes.
directed Equus in Urdu.
Yeah.
Um, what are the biggest challenges arising from translation? Have you ever come across like words or phrases, or just kind of, have you ever come to a point where the idiom of the English language has been really difficult to translate? Or, you know, uh, is there someone you work with regularly in terms of translation? Just talk to me about sort of what the challenges are in that process.
So mostly the plays I've done, I have translated myself because I knew I have to do it. So one play I had a lot of problem in translating because I can't translate that idiom or that ideology in my language, but that is Equus
Yeah,
philosophy, the Greek philosophy in that play, and the biblical references in that play. You can't translate that. And when he's talking about Argos, and when he's talking about this dream, he see this Greek god is cutting the thing, and the references of the rituals. I can't translate that. So I never, whenever I did Aquas, I did it twice. I always said that it's a translation of the play.
Yeah.
It's not actually the what you call the adaptation. The Kusura I
Okay.
did the adaptation
Yes.
because
Okay.
it was yeah, it will easily adapted. Though in Kusura the jury system is not in Pakistan, but I said it in the I edited a little in the opening speech. I said, what if this is the first time this jury system is being established in Pakistan, and this is the first case. So because jury system is not in Pakistan, so I just edited a bit. This is what if this thing happens in Pakistan, then this is
Right.
the base goes on. So everyone
Yeah.
connects with that. So
Okay.
yes, but also in translating the play, it loses the actual essence of the play. Yes, it is sometimes. But I first my before adapting the play, I try to translate exactly as it is, the way it's written, and closely try to adapt it so that I should not lose the. For me, the most important thing should not lose the plot. The
Yeah.
plot is, I feel like, the very most important thing. When you
Yeah.
play with the plot, when you play with the plot, that means you are actually messing it up. So I never play with the plot. I never do that. And some references, some like references which can like that can easily relate to the particular reference of the play, then I use it to so that people can understand. Then, like for example, I did Glengarry Glen Ross last time.
Yeah.
So the references the property references I took was from here only. People was connecting easily, not from the references. And I tried to use the name as similar to the actual name.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, Ronnie was there, so I used Rohan there. It was like similar, so that people can still stay with the play, and it was
Yeah.
an easy way to just about. Yes, translation is the difficult job. Yeah, I find it extremely difficult doing translation. It's
Yeah.
difficult for me. I
And
can't do that.
and the English theatre audience must be, I mean, in Sri Lanka also, the English theatre audience is actually very small. Is that the same in
Yeah,
Karachi?
yeah,
And I mean, so you have to adapt to that. But are you also
yeah.
seeing a lot of more original work coming out?
I'm afraid that's a very sad thing to talk about. There are original plays, not that much, because the TV scene here is quite prominent, and people write for TV and it's good money. And
Okay.
theater is, theater, when you write a theater and if it is good, it will work. So writing
Mm,
for theater is difficult. You have to be literate enough to write a theater. You can't write a what you call the short story and say it's a theater. You need to know the plot. You need to know the actual graph of the play. How the theater play should be written. So that's important. So yes, we're still struggling with the playwrights.
yeah.
We have playwrights. Napa have like 2 3 playwrights. Kabad writes a play, but he is like not a full-time playwright. So that's the
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are what we do normally. We write our own thing, and then for writing, the phase we have to be in the phase to write. Because writing takes time. That is also we are struggling with the playwrights. We're still struggling with the playwrights.
Yeah. I mean, and we are too. I feel like we also need more people to not just
Yeah.
translate and adapt work, but also to create original work. Sunil, we've got quite a few questions coming in. So here's my final question.
Okay.
It's not really a question. I want you to talk a little bit about your work with the Liari Stars. I know it's about working with children, but in an article that was published by the Dawn News Service 6 years ago now, the mother of one of the children who performed is quoted as saying, the people of Liari are always known for terrorism, but this school has provided a different platform for our children. this shows that they can take part in other activities as well and excel in them. So I mean, I was
So
absolutely intrigued.
yeah, actually, yes, this is my friend Nida, but actually she runs a math school and she also does theater. So she had this funding, and she had this funding to work for, or to just to work with this Liari, because Liari is an area which is, yes, it is considered to be that there are a lot of the gangsters, basically not terrorists, gangsters are from Liari. And there was a time, not now, there was a time that this area was considered to be the main hub of gangsters. So to revive and reclaim all this, and there are a lot of artists from Liari. There are especially the footballers, and especially the flute players, and the dancers, and the rappers. What you call it? Rappers. So there are a lot
Okay.
of, they're very good artists from them. And then suddenly it's a tragedy. I don't know why. It's political reasoning. I don't know. There are a lot of political reasoning. This area became the what you call the house, the hub of gangsters. Maybe it was a systematic, planned thing, but I can't say much about it because I don't know much about it. What is the actual reason? So my project was, then Shnida asked me to do this project so we can teach theater, because performing art is easy. You can teach guitar, you can teach dance, and people can, to teach these boys and girls, these small children, so that they can learn art and free of cost. So I did for like almost 1 year, or yeah, 1 year. So first 6 months, the student used to, we came to the institute. We used to train them, like all, there are all sections there. They used to learn instruments, vocals, acting, and other things. And then the second phase, we went in the Liari uh, area. So that was also a tricky thing. So, but we went there. We went there in the small schools, the small, very underprivileged childrens, and we used to go
Yeah.
and teach them. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I think I did it for 1 year, and this I did for like almost 3 years. And I'm not sure. I think she's still doing that thing. So there are a lot of small foundations in this area, and it's totally changed now. And they're very good artists. They're very good
Okay.
singers and actors are from there.
I guess that happens if enough people like you kind of invest in that community, and that's a positive story. Here's our first question, Sunil, and it's from Ruanti Dichikera. Hi, Sunil. Lovely to see you again. Can you please share with us what Pakistan's response to COVID-19 has been, and what has it revealed to you about Pakistan people, government, and country?
Hi, Rohanti. Hi, how are you? Thanks for asking, and I hope you're doing well. Well, okay. So we are the people in this part of the continent, in this part of this area, are godly people. I must say, they basically believe more in God, and they do less practical things. And I love this thing from these people. And then the response to the COVID is, some people responded quite with responsibility, and some people were godly people. So, and they were just into not very much bothering about the SOPs, the social isolation, and they're still there. So, so as an artist, I feel like it's a big drawback. It's a very big setback, because we were already kind of an industry, like theater industry was flourishing, and we were like on the go, and like the industry was quite developed. And then suddenly, after 1 year, the economy's gone down, everything is gone down, and especially in this. Um, in this what you call, it's not secular, it's like cosmopolitan city, and the means of performing, the means of art is already gone down. So yes, we are suffering a lot. And your second part is what it has revealed. Yeah, for me, I believe we need to learn a lot. We need to learn a lot from this pandemic. We still need to improve a lot of uh, need to improve our thinking about how to live a life, how to be a human being.
Yep.
That's still we need to learn a lot. We still don't realize how important this life is, how beautiful this world is, and how precious is being human, how super is being human. We still need to I still believe that we need to learn this. We're not learning this.
Yeah, I think we're learning how fragile we are.
Yes.
Here's another one. Nazmi Motion. Hello, it's nice to see you. Just like to know if you think that with COVID-19 and people having more time to turn to their inner self and taken to the arts in one form or the other, do you expect that after the pandemic we will have a flood of exciting and interesting scripts, poetry, and novels out there?
Yes. I believe that is happening. I believe that is happening, and people start writing, and people are actually now started looking inwards, and now people are realizing the importance of this life, as I said, and yes, people started writing also. People started reading also. I'm hoping after this pandemic gets over, we will have at least 5 or 10 plays after that, because we're still writing, like at least in my circle. So I'm hoping, and I hope there will be a lot of writings and a lot of scripts coming out
Fingers
after the
crossed that
pandemic.
happens everywhere. Mm.
Yeah.
Next question, and this is from Malshani Delgahapitia. It's interesting to hear that you don't have a jury system in Pakistan. Can you explain to us what kind of legal system exists there?
So I'm like, there are 3 judges, and then I don't know exactly about law. I mean, what are the procedure in the legislation? But as normally in jury, there is a judge. There are 12 jury system. There are 12 juries, and they listen, and then they give a verdict. But in Pakistan, there is not as such. I think we are still following the Indian law. So even in India, Indian law, there is no jury system. And if I don't want to comment on that because I'm not pretty much sure about the legislation. But the Indian law comes from the British law. So I don't know if British law has the jury system. But I can't comment on this thing because I'm not sure about the legislation why people don't have
Yeah.
we don't have the jury system.
And here we go. Here's another question from Deshan Tennakon. In the last decade, say, are you seeing more bilingual, multilingual theatre productions in Karachi?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of bilingual, multilingual, and no lingual theater was started happening. I mean, there are a lot of collaborations. Even I did a lot of collaboration when we were doing a lot of collaboration. And then yes, definitely. In fact, the bilingual and multilingual plays were happening before this pandemic happened. But yes, I'll make sure that bilingual and multilingual plays should happen
Yeah.
in the future.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. Sunil, I asked you earlier if you would share a piece of reading with us, or rather a piece of writing that you would read to us. Do you have that with you?
Uh, so this piece, it's like highly resonates with me. I love to. It's on my. It's a preface from William Saroyan, and yeah, he's some playwright, but I've never read the play. But the preface, I've saved it on my desktop. So I just would like to read it, and then let's see. So shall I start reading?
Yes, please.
Okay. In the time of your life, live so that in that good time there shall be no ugliness or death for yourself or for any life your life touches. Seek goodness everywhere, and when it is found, Bring it out of its hiding place and let it be free. Place in matter and in flesh the least of the values, for these are the things that hold death and must pass away. Discover in all things that which shines and is beyond corruption. Be the inferior of no man, or of any man be superior. Remember that every man is a variation of yourself. No man's guilt is not yours, nor is any man's innocence a thing apart. Despise evil and ungodliness, but not men of ungodliness or evil. In the time of your life, live, so that in that wondrous time you shall not add to the misery and sorrow of the world, but shall smile to the infinite delight and mystery of it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Those
Yeah.
are those words to live by.
I didn't prepare it. I didn't prepare it. Sorry for because I just read it
No,
right
that's
now. So I have
fine.
to prepare it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's some heavy existential thinking in there as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but it was nice to hear that. Thank you so much. And
Thank
finally, what books do you have by your bed?
you. Okay. Yeah. I've just finished the Inner Engineering book, a book called a book written by Satguru. It's like he's a mystic, he's a yogi. So
Uh-huh.
I finished that book, and I still kept on reading that book. And there was a book, a man who mistook his wife for a hat.
Aha, Oliver Sacks. I love that book.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So because I was thinking of doing something about it, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
it's very
that's really
theatrical.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Actually, many years ago, when I lived in London, Sunil, I actually went. Peter Brook actually took a couple of the stories from it, and he made a play. And I went
Yes. Yes.
with a friend of mine to listen to it, and it was absolutely fascinating. So I bought the book, and every page has is just so full of theatricality. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
I thought of doing a play out of it. Then I said, am I not exploiting this? Am I not exploiting them, the cases in their real life, just because this thing is interesting? So that's why I stopped. So that's why I
yeah.
stopped to. Yeah, that was the thing with me. I thought, am I not exploiting by using this text to make a theatrical performance?
I
I
don't
don't know
think so.
that.
I don't think
Really?
so. Because, yes, in his time when he wrote it, it was phenomena. But I feel like now, with mental health becoming such an important issue, I feel like
Yes.
sharing stories like that is positive, really.
Yeah.
And especially with some of those neurological sort of problems, um, I think it's good to share just the very weird and unusual things that happen to
Yes.
people. You know,
Yes. Yes.
there are people who do mistake their wives for a hat.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes,
what is
yeah,
that?
yeah,
What is happening in there? I found it absolutely
yeah.
fascinating.
Maybe we can do something together on in this thing. Maybe we can make something out of it. Like I don't
Yeah,
know, because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the brain thing is there is always. Maybe I want. Maybe we can explore our brain through that text. I don't know.
I think so. I think physically, I already made a small physical piece
Ah,
based on the man who mistook his wife for a hat, um,
okay.
because his wife said that the thing that made him come down to earth was actually music. You remember that part where he kind of
Yes,
lived,
yes,
like music
yes,
is a thing that kind of makes him
yes, yes.
feel whole. So
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
I explored that with one of my students, and I thought it went quite well. Anyway, on that note, Sunil Shankar, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us to answer our questions. Everyone is saying thank you
Thank you,
um,
thank you, thank you,
for the
Tracy. Thank
giving
you,
of the
Ruanti. Thank you for having me. It was
Yes,
lovely talking to you.
take very good care of yourself, and we'll catch up
You
soon.
too. You too. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.